sugar box. When driving home from a party, two teenagers sped down the back roads of their small town. Their music was blasting, the sound accompanied by their off-tune shouting voices, screaming the same lyrics. As one turned a corner, he screeched to a stop as a deer ran out into the bumpy road. Heart pounding, he fumbled to honk the horn, but the deer didn't budge and still stared into the light. Not freighted, not shocked, calm. The doe stared for a few seconds before the teenager quickly accelerated, then stopped to scare her, but to no avail. She had elaborate horns, 6 eyes, 2 on each ear, 2 on the side of her head in the regular spot, and 2 in the middle between her 2 regular eyes, and a winding tail. The teenager in the passenger seat, having noticed the otherworldly features upon the doe, breathed deep to calm his racing heart. Why does it have extra eyes? He asked, voice shaking with uncertainty. Are we high? Did you spike my drink? He pointed accusingly at the teen driving and putting a hand on his own neck. The teen driving shook his head. The doe suddenly looked at something in the forest in which she came and ran back, leaving the teenagers confused and frightened. At the police station, the officer laughed and denied their claims of a cursed deer, but he opened a case called Sugar Box.
I saw a figure, and when I told my mom about it, it wasn't there anymore. The window of my bathroom is the type you can open, but you can't see inside, only the shadow if the person next to it is really close. The window of my bathroom directly leads to my kitchen. I was having breakfast and wanted to take a shower to start the day. However, the bathroom lights were on, and I could see a big man's shadow inside. That wasn't weird for me since my dad is quite tall, and my brother often sleep at my house instead of his, so I just assumed it was one of them. My mother was in the living room, next to the kitchen, but you can't see the window from here. So I asked if it was my dad using the bathroom. She told me he was not here, so I was like, oh, then, brother's name is here. And she told me he wasn't, and it only was the 2 of us in the house, RN. I then wanted to tell her about the silhouette in the bathroom, but when I was about to mention it, I took a look and the shadow wasn't here anymore. Never knew what happened, and I'm not sure I want to.
My mother's voice. One time when I was around 12 years old, I stood in my parents' bedroom, folding clean towels in the wardrobe, when all of a sudden I could hear my name being called, very quietly. It was almost like a whisper. It was my mother's voice, so I responded with a, yes? No answer. I continued folding towels, and I could hear that voice again, my mother calling for me, but this time it was louder. Once again I said, yes, with no response. I got a bit annoyed, and was just about to go to my mother and asking her what she wanted, when all of a sudden I could hear my name being screamed in my ear, still my mother's voice. I got so scared that I ran out of my parents' bedroom, and I saw my mom asleep on the couch. Years later, I told my mom about this day. She looked right into my eyes with fear. Then she said something that I will never forget. Sometimes I hear my name being called to. It's the same voice every single time. It's yours.
Discarded, but alive. It's angry. Run. They say if you drive down the old highway after midnight, you'll sometimes see headlights glowing faintly by the roadside. A small, battered Twingo, dented beyond repair, sitting just off the shoulder. At first glance, it looks abandoned. Crumpled hood, shattered windows, rust biting into the paint. But when you get closer, you'll notice the lights aren't flickering from a failing battery. They're steady, too steady. Inside, slumped in the driver's seat, is a figure that looks almost human. No one can tell if it's a mannequin, a corpse, or something in between. It never moves, except that some swear they've seen its hand shift on the steering wheel, like it's waiting for you to get in. The locals call it the Forgotten Twingo. Legend says the driver never left that night, trapped forever in his crushed little car. And if you stare into those headlights too long, you'll see them brighten, not to light the road ahead, but to blind you so the car can take you with it. And when your vision clears, the Twingo will be gone. but you'll start to hear an engine idling behind you.
He was looking for his dog. I was at the playground with my son when the man walked by. "Sorry to bother you," he said gently. "Have you seen a beagle? His name is Oscar." I said no. He thanked me and moved on. A few minutes later, he came back. "Would you mind checking your car?" he asked. "He might have snuck under." I hesitated. He looked embarrassed. "Totally understand if not," he said. He walked off again. I told myself not to judge. He could have been autistic, or truly distressed. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Still, I packed up early, kept my son close. As we drove off, I passed the man again. He was standing near the fence, watching. I almost rolled down the window to say sorry. Then I noticed. He wasn't calling a name. He wasn't looking around. He was staring at the license plates, one by one. I didn't slow down. Good thing he didn't insist on checking my car. My wife was still in the trunk.
Ghost at Sachsenhausen? Context. Back in 2012, my family and I went to Germany and did a tour of the Sachsenhausen Museum. This photo I'm including was taken with his iPad 2 at the time. Recently, I found all our old trip photos and came across this photo. I fully believe in ghosts and paranormal, but I also can't be sure with this, as I've never seen anyone talk about ghosts here. And B, this area was closed off by glass. I want to believe it's something, as the figure in the photo just doesn't look like from a 2012 period. And back at that time, when visiting, my gauges started to bleed out of nowhere when it was fine before visiting. But I'm also not sure what to think, as the photo was taken with a glass in front of it, and off an iPad 2, which may explain how my dad's shoes at the bottom look the way they do. What are your thoughts on this?
Uninvited guest at a sleepover. There was a man who had taken his own life in his driveway next door to us several years ago. My husband didn't know what had happened until the police came to ask if the black cat that was trying to eat bits of the man from the ground was my husband's cat. He had to bring our cat inside. There is definitely a presence here. Not good or bad. Just random accidental interactions, I suppose. The night I took that picture, though, I adjusted the lighting, trying to see if I could get the image of my husband and our friend to show up better in the photo I had taken. The pic does not show what I could see with my eyes. The image of the person sitting next to our bed looking directly at me was not visible to me. I cannot explain this any other way.
If you enjoyed this compilation, please subscribe or like so you can get more of our videos on your feed. Be free to share any of your thoughts on these stories, and feedback is appreciated.